Hi, I'm Wade from Thoroughbred Diesel, and today we're going to be installing a Banks Derringer on our 2016 Ram EcoDiesel. So this is Rowdy. We affectionately call this truck Rowdy around the shop. This is a 2016 Ram EcoDiesel 1500. We have not crossed over into the world of power adders with this truck yet. We're going to do that today with the Banks Derringer. The Banks Derringer, this truck actually, let me slow down for just a second. Baseline on this truck is 230 horsepower and uncorrected, and the truck made 400 foot-pounds of torque uncorrected. Ram's numbers tell us that the truck was marketed at 240 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. So we were very, very close to that. Parasitic loss on the dyno, we're almost right there at 230 horsepower. The truck made its horsepower at 3,300 RPM, which is a little bit different from what it's rated at. On the crank, it's rated at 240 at 3,600 RPM, so we're close. So we've got a really, really good baseline on Rowdy here. We want to take it to the next level. We're going to put the Derringer in. The Derringer that we've got is going to be adding 40 horsepower and 63 foot-pounds of torque, according to Banks. Now, that's going to be a lot for this truck. I mean, we're going to be knocking on 270 horsepower for it, so it ought to be, just like we call it, Rowdy. The mounting options for the Derringer, we got this model with the iDash DataMonster. We want to be able to collect a lot of data on this truck. This truck's above 50,000 miles on it, so we're really interested in watching the status of the DPF on this truck for the rest of its life. This is going to give us the ability to do that. Mounting options for the iDash, when you get it in the truck, you can use the pillar mount. They have a pillar mount for the 1500 Rams. We chose to go with the single pod gauge kit for this truck, 63341. Remember, if you're buying the Banks Derringer and you're going to pair it with the iDash, you have to buy a mounting solution, be it the pod, the single gauge pod itself, 63341, or the handle mount as well. We decided not to go with the handle mount again with this truck. We're going to go with the single pod, so that's going to get us our mounting solution. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started on our installation. Our Derringer installation is going to require us to tap into two sensors on the engine, the fuel rail pressure sensor and the T-map sensor. So, as you know, when we're dealing with any electrical sensors, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we get our negative cable off of the battery. All right, once you've got your negative battery cable off, your next step is to take your engine cover off on the EcoDiesel. Just simply lift up on the front of it, and then it's got two hooks in the back. You just pop it off the hooks like that, and that gives you access to a lot of the engine. Our goal at this point is to get this sound cover off of the passenger side of the motor. To do so, what happens is the tube from the turbo inlet to the air intake needs to come off. Now, this truck does not have a stock intake on it. This is an aftermarket intake. My goal here is to be able to just take these clamps off, move this tube out of the way, and then that should let this sound cover come off. That's what I'm going to work towards. You guys that have got your stock air box on, which is going to be quite a few of you, that tube is probably going to have to, the whole air box is going to have to come out there, I think, to remove that tube. So it's been a while since I've seen the stock air box on these trucks, but just be aware of that. That's a simple process. Just take the box out, you know, take the lid off of it, pull the tube out, and pull the box out if it needs to come. So what I'm going to work towards here, I'm going to work to go ahead and removing this tube off of our air intake. Now we're ready for the sound dampener to come out of here, and it just simply pops straight up and out. Just be careful of it. These older ones, I'm sure they're going to start getting brittle and whatnot, so just be careful of that. All right, we're going to take a look at the Derringer harness right now and then go over our connections that we have here. So again, two connections in your engine bay. You're going to be connecting at the fuel rail pressure sensor and then at the T-map sensor. So the fuel rail pressure sensor on this harness is going to be a 3-prong male plug, and then the T-map is going to be this 4-prong. What I want to do now is I want to show you where the fuel rail pressure sensor is on these trucks. So we're working on the passenger side. I know there's a flood of light right there, but passenger side of the truck all the way to the back of the engine is going to be your fuel rail pressure sensor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with this laser pointer so I can kind of show you the general spot right there. You can see that is the fuel rail pressure sensor. I'm going to zoom in here, give you another shot, and hopefully the light comes to this as well. There it is. Perfect. There's a really good shot of your fuel rail pressure sensor right here on the very back of the fuel rail. So if you're looking for it and you're still having trouble figuring out where it is, this is our fuel rail where our injector lines are connected to. So follow that all the way to the back. That's going to be your fuel rail pressure sensor. Now, the T-map sensor is very close in proximity to the fuel rail pressure sensor. It's actually on the back side of the intake manifold here. So the intake manifold, this plastic runner that's in the middle here of the valley of the V6 motor, this is the intake manifold. It's plastic. On the back of that plastic portion there is going to be the T-map sensor. Now, there is a little wiring loom that's kind of in the way right here, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the T-map sensor. I can just see the wires going into it right there. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with my pointer if I can get there. There, the pointer's on it right there. So now you know what we're looking for. And I'm going to zoom back in and gather that light right there. So there is the T-map sensor. So you can see it's on the back of the intake manifold in the plastic runner right here. It has a yellow lock. Both of these have got yellow slide locks, both the fuel rail pressure sensor right there and the T-map sensor. They both got yellow slide locks on them. To disengage those slide locks, you simply slide the yellow portion backwards like I did right there. You know what, I think I'm going to get that right on first shot here, which never happens on camera. Get my back just a little bit more, and that should do it. Well, hard for me to get it one-handed there. Let's try one more time. Aha, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so there's our T-map sensor. And as you can see, that is a 4-prong sensor. All right, so I'm gonna back out, go and give Adam the camera here, and then we'll show you the connections kind of from afar, since you know where everything is now. I wanted to show you, here is our T-map sensor, our stock wiring harness, and then our fuel rail pressure sensor. You can see those yellow locks I was talking about. To unlock those, you just simply push them back, use a small pick or something to push them back, and then that gives you the ability to push this top black portion here, move the light there, to unhook it from the sensor that you're working on. So let's go ahead and make our connections here. So we're going to use our 4-prong on the T-map, and we will get that. The alignment only goes one way on this, so if it doesn't go, don't try to force it, just like that. And then it'll lock into place, and then put your lock down. And then while you're out here, just go ahead and do your female side of the fuel rail pressure sensor, and that lock on the female side has got the kind of the slope there on it. The solid square side, that's not the side that it engages to. So the slope side is when you're going to want to engage to. So get it lined up.
critical here that you get it engaged correctly. I'll always check it because you can always bend the pins, and that's not a good thing. So it needs to go all the way and get engaged. All right. Till the lock can go. And that needs just a little bit more. Okay. I think that got us. Yep, that got us. And then we can slide our lock up on that. Lock's giving me trouble. Yeah. Just a little bit more. Alright, then we can slide our lock in like so. Alright, now it's simply put the male portion from the Banks harness to the sensors that we were working with there. So remember, our 4 pin goes to our T-map. Like so. And then our 3 pin again goes to our fuel rail pressure. You have to check and double check alignment on this, because again, you can bend pins. If you bend pins, then you got trouble. On trucks like this today, you know, everything is in such tight quarters. If you bend a pin on the sensor, sensor's got to come out, and if you can do it hopefully on the truck, and the pins get repaired. All right, once you have your locks done and everything, you can go ahead and just kind of make sure everything's good there and out of your way. I run the wiring harness behind the turbo inlet right here, and then eventually what will happen is this will run, getting us over to the driver's side of the engine compartment on the Derringer wiring harness. So I'm gonna lay that over there and get that ready. So now we're ready to put our little foam piece here that's our silencer cover. Just like we took it off, it can go back on. And it can be a real joy to get lined up itself. So just kind of got to keep working with it. There it is. So it sits down there perfectly. So that gets us lined up to put our air intake tube on now. I've got my tube back in now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clamp that down and secure it. And then we will put our center section back on the engine. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and zip tie this harness up and out of the way in 2 spots before we put our engine cover on. Let me turn that back where nobody gets cut. And then probably one more here at the bend. It'll be fine. Cut that off. All right, now ready to put our engine cover back on. Get it lined up with its standards back there. Put it back on. We're going to make our connection of our Derringer now. So your Derringer, your wiring harness coming from your fuel rail pressure sensor, your T-map sensor. We just bring it over here to the driver's side of the truck and then make the connection at the Derringer module itself here. So we'll just go ahead and clip those together. Now, to bring your wire to go in the cab for your iDash. If you've purchased the iDash kit, you'll get this harness that will run inside the cab here. Very important on the lineup on the iDash wiring harness. If you get this wrong, you can actually do damage to the Derringer and the iDash itself. So when we're working here, the easiest way for me to explain is you want to try to have everything lined up on the very top of the Derringer. The Banks logo here, actually don't worry about that there, sorry. So everything on the top lined up here. Now, on the black side of this is where our iDash cord is going to go. You want the locking mechanism on these. Up is unlocked, down is locked. So unlock it, line up your two lines here. Same on your iDash cord, have your two lines lined up there. If you second guess yourself, just look at the receptacle and you will see standards on one side and then grooves on the other to receive it. So get them lined up correctly and they will start. And then once you know you've got good engagement there, don't try to force it. You can just turn the lock and turn it down and it'll pull it on in and lock everything together. Shows you right there where your lock is down. Now, inside of the iDash pack, you will have a termination cap. If you're not using any other sensors, EGT sensors or whatnot, you will have a termination cap there. Again, you want to be lined up here. This is where the Banks logo comes into play there. You want that perpendicular to the way the module runs itself if you second guess it, but again, line all your lines up there. At them with it there, and then lock it down, turn it, lock it down. Then you've got a weather tight seal there. Everything is good to go. The smaller end of the iDash goes in the cab. Show you just a little bit about that on this truck. Let me grab another light and we'll come back to it. All right, let's talk about access, getting the Derringer wire into the cab. And the light's low here, but I'm going to zoom in. There is an access plate for a clutch master cylinder if the truck was standard shift. Some of the other 1500 configurations. It's right there. Got two bolts on it. I'm going to try to show you it from this angle right here. The light's kind of got it flooded there, but it's right behind this wiring harness here. Now let's talk about getting our Derringer harness routed inside the cab here. I've got a light on some of the 1500 trucks against the firewall here, and I've got it on it. You can kind of see the little triangle there, or it's a diamond shape, apologize, on the firewall. That was a clutch master cylinder access port, so it'll be running right there into your screen. This plate's got two bolts on it on the inside of the cab. You can just simply unbolt it and pull that plate out and drill a hole in the plate for your access wires. I'm going to take my light now and I'm going to take you inside the cab, try not to blind you, and show you the access plate inside the cab. Get my light oriented here. So right here, I'm going to zoom past an amplifier wire. That access hole right there, that's what you're looking for. I'm not going to take the plate out. I'm actually going to drill it inside of the truck. I'm going to use a right angle drill and a step drill. I'm going to drill it out to probably 1/2 inch or so, and then that will get my wire in here for the Derringer. All right, show you our Derringer wire coming on through there. So this small wire that's for our iDash, we want to just go ahead and bring the majority of it into the cab here, and then our excess we'll roll it up underneath of the dash. All right, now with our iDash cord inside the cab, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zip tie this just to clean it up just a little bit. And
once I cut that off there, I'm going to tuck this right directly behind the battery compartment here, or right behind the battery. There's a little spot for it. It'll stay dry and stay out of the way there, and then I'll zip tie that up as well. So we're going to clean up under the hood, and except for putting our negative battery cable back on, we're going to be done out here. I'm going to finish up inside the cab and be ready to fire up before I put the battery cable on. All right, so we've got our line from our Derringer in the cab now. So what we're doing now is we're getting ready to prep for our iDash. So you're going to have another connection here in the cab. That's going to be our OBD2 drop for you guys that have got the iDash here. So I like to just go ahead and hook this up at the OBD2 port underneath of the dash here. You can just find it. Go ahead and put it in there. And then you've got that wire ready. That way, when I get my side panels off and I bring these wires up, I try to bring them together at the same time. Plus, once they're together, it makes it easier on chasing your zip ties. So doing the interior of this truck, we're not doing the pillar pod. If you were, it would go right underneath of this grab handle. There is a access port right here. You would take that access port out, bolt it in, and then your wires would go through there. If you need to Dremel this, you can Dremel it to have access for your wires, but we're just going to use the window mount here. So to start off with, we just go ahead and peel back the weather stripping here, and lighting is going to be a little bit funky for this. So the side panel here is what we're after now, so that I get that where I want it. Of course, it's not going to sit there. Anyway, so we're going to go after this panel here, this side panel. This isn't a necessary step if you've got weaselly enough arms that you can get through there. I just like to pop it out because it just makes it easier. Start at the bottom, couple fingers at the bottom here, just pop it loose the first time, and then once you get loose the first time, just keep going around and it'll pop right on out. All right, now we're just going to bring our Derringer wire up through here and just keep fishing it. I bring it out here in the middle to make my transition across. It's just easier that way. So I'll pull till I've got the slack that I need. All right, and then what can be done then is you can make a little bit of room for your wire right here between the bezel of the dash and back there. Actually, I'm going to take that one step further. There was a little standard there that I didn't want to alter. So what I've done here is I've just grabbed the pillar and peeled it basically. Alright, there's my first wire through. And the reason why I had so much struggle there's a little plastic keeper there, so I didn't want to mess that up. All right, now let's bring our OBD2 wire up. Same way. They're the same size, so good to go there. And the same little drill here. Easier. All right, so this gives me freedom to move these as far down the dash as I want to.
I like where they're positioned right there, so I'm gonna go right there with them. If I need to adjust slack or not, I can there real easily. So we are ready to run our wires through our window pod, but first what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and check my spot for that. What I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to move Adam and I both in the cab here. I'm pretty well done with this panel. I can handle all of the slack getting with the panel back on it. So let's go ahead and put our panel back on here. Line everything up. Line everything back up there, get it smooth, and then I will bring my weather strip back in. And what we need to do now is we're going to have to get the camera readjust angle. So Adam's going to hop in here and we'll go ahead with the installation from inside the cab. Now we're going to go ahead and mount our cup, but before we do that, what we've got to do is we've got to go ahead and run our wires through for our iDash through the cup, and then I kind of just mock my cup up where I want it, and we're going to be doing a lot of research on this truck, so kind of right there. So you get some wipes that come inside of your kit if your mount doesn't fall on the floor. Take your window cleaner here, clean yourself a spot so you have good adhesion. While we're waiting for our window to dry, I'm going to go ahead and hook up our DataMonster here. So you've got a 4-prong 4-pin here, and then you have got a 6-pin connection that you're going to be making. You can kind of look at the orientation of the pins as to how they need to go. There's a rounded edge there, and then there's a flat edge. So on these, our rounded edges need to go up or down, apparently. So this is up on the monitor. Our rounded edges are actually going to go down, and our flat edges are going to go up, which that's easy. And then same thing here with these, flat edges up, rounded edges down. So and there we go. So now our window's dry, we've got our iDash hooked in, our DataMonster hooked in. We are going to go ahead and mount it in the truck. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my iDash in the cup where I want it there. Just push it in to fit, just like so. Now, if you've got gauge pods inside your truck, this is a 2 1/16. It will work. It comes with the little adapters inside of your kit to be able to put it into a normal pillar pod there. So we're just going to take our film off of our pod. We're going to go back where we said we were in our initial thoughts there. So pull the switch there, then I'll adjust it, then fine tune it with the arm. Perfect. All right, that's right where I want it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to feed my slack back through, and then I am going to go out in the engine compartment and put my negative battery cable on. All right, so we've got our iDash in, our DataMonster, and we have our battery cable back on, our negative battery cable back on the truck. The only thing I've got left doing here is just a little bit of cleanup underneath of the dash, but we're gonna go ahead and fire it up and see if it fires up. One thing that we've learned here is your wire orientation on these iDashes is very important. If you get the wires going the wrong way and you're able to force it in there and get it to clip, you won't have any power to these units. So let's see if we got power.
We got her. Can you see that all right, Adam? Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we are fired up and ready to go. What Adam's going to have to do is he's going to reposition, and then we can go take you through some functionality. Actually, I'll probably film that. So we will film some functionality in the iDash here for you, and then we'll do our dyno run. All right, going to walk you through some functionality of the iDash here. So again, this is the DataMonster, so there is a ton of different parameters on here. We'll start the vehicle. Let's come back up for us here. And when it first comes up, you have your up and down buttons on the left and your right and left buttons on the right. Your up and down buttons for just general functionality, you can change those and it's going to change your power level. I'm going to zoom in here. So we're looking at just at the very bottom of the iDash here where it says level 2. You can see if we turn it down, it goes to stock, up, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and kill is level 6 here. All right, so if we want to set up our screen a little bit differently as far as the gauges go, just hit the right button and the menu will come up. We will go down to or up to gauge layout and hit the right button. And I'd like to have 4 gauges here. We'll hit the right button again. So that gives me RPM, speed, ECT, engine coolant temperature, and load percentage. So what I'll do here is I'll hit the right button and my gauge selection. I'll go down one to gauge selection, hit right, and then I can choose different gauges here. So all I would do to change one, if I wanted to change the load percentage, I could click to the right here and it gives me category or group. Category gives you the biggest list of them, and then there's tons of different parameters in here. I mean, just tons. We'll go in here, we'll go to emissions, we'll hit the right button, and average time between DPF regens is what I think. If you hover over that, it will come up and tell you what the whole string is. So I'm going to click the right button there, and I am going to click the left button to get us back out, to go back. Now, if we want to do diagnostics, if we had a code come up, we would just go down to diagnostics, push the right button, and then right for vehicle, and then check vehicle codes would be right here. So we would do that, check for codes. No codes found. All right, so to go back again, left, back again, back again. So there we go, there we are. This is a good parameter that we're gonna watch here. This is gonna be time between regenerations, 306 minutes. So we'll look to see that hopefully that window lengthens just a little bit. So that's general functionality. There's a lot here. There's a lot here, and we don't have all the time in the world to be able to go through all the different functionalities. This is a very, very powerful tool. So we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. We're gonna give you some dyno numbers and see what we made here. All right, time to dyno Rowdy. With our Derringer in there, of course, we're gonna dyno it right on keel. We're looking to gain another 40 horsepower out of the Derringer. Talk to you just a little bit about some of the testing conditions that we've got here. On the EcoDiesels, your 1-to-1 gear is 6 gear, so we're gonna lock it into 6 gear. Again, on our first dyno pass that we had when we made our baseline, the truck made 230 horsepower uncorrected. So we're gonna see what we've got right here. So 6 gear pull, truck's already warmed up. Let's see what she does. So Adam and I were just kind of talking through, we just love this kind of stuff. Love to be able to test something that actually works. The tuner made exactly what it was supposed to make. This truck made 230 horsepower uncorrected at 400 foot-pounds of torque uncorrected. It laid down 270 and 466. That's exactly what Banks said it was going to make. It made another 40 horsepower and another 60 foot-pounds of torque. Perfect. You can't ask for anything better than that, folks. You know, really impressed with the iDash and the DataMonster, the amount of different parameters that we're going to be able to watch with this. It's so important in today's trucks with your emissions vehicles to be able to monitor the different systems that are going on, and it also lets you to learn about the different systems that are in your truck, so you know when you're going to have failure, you know how to adjust your driving styles for getting better fuel economy and for just better overall longevity of your vehicle. So I'm Wade, Thoroughbred Diesel. Thank you all for watching this. If you have any questions about Banks products, the Derringer module or EcoDiesels, just give us a call, like and subscribe to our channel. You can hit us with any questions that you have down in the comments. And thank you for watching this video.